Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's guest, but I'm going to give a shout out to my sponsors. We've been doing this now for several years. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. You should be using them too. So take 3 minutes. Don't hit that fast forward button. Take a listen, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these sponsors. You're going to be very glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. I've told you many times, probably the best purchase I ever made as an athletic director was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. We use it for home games, of course, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. Their products are incredibly versatile and their customer service just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just love the tools on the Huddle platform. Go to huddle.com, join the millions of users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com. We also want to thank Home Campus. Things like scheduling, your rosters, results, communication with your kids, your coaches, your state association, facility management. Home Campus does all of this and more, does it better and faster than the other platforms. Did I mention athletic eligibility and clearance? That one alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com for more information. It's homecampus.com. And for all of our sponsors, please make sure you mention you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thank you to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Now, Wall of Fame has been helping schools bring their legacy to life for over a decade, but their new content creation service takes it to a whole new level. Their talented team of writers and creators is going to come up with compelling narratives that you can then post on social media to tell your school's history, about your coaches, your kids. You really have to see it to believe it. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Click on Content Services. You're going to be very glad that you did. Let's also say thanks to Gipper. Gipper is the #1 marketing tool for athletic departments, and it's so easy to use, even I can do it. Gipper is used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college athletic programs, and one reason it's #1 are the thousands of professionally designed templates that you can then customize with your colors, your brands, and your logos to create, share, and schedule all your social media. Did I mention it's #1 for athletic marketing? Go to Gipper.com for more information. Speaking of #1, Booster Hub is the #1 Booster Club software application. And if you help your boosters with things like volunteer scheduling, you know that volunteer changes are a daily occurrence. Well, with Booster Hub, nothing falls through the cracks. Everybody stays connected and engaged. The same is true for sponsorship fees, for concession sales. Booster Hub does it all. Give your boosters the platform they need. Give them the platform they deserve. And that platform is Booster Hub. Speaking of #1, how about Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration? They're consistently ranked at the top of the field for athletic administration programs available online. Their students rave about the curriculum, about the cohorts, and while they're earning their master's degrees, they also get a complete 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Continuing with our theme of #1, how about Hometown? Their suite of solutions includes the #1 digital ticketing provider, but they also have fee-free fundraising through School Funder, athletic website construction. The Hometown list just goes on and on. Whether you're an athletic director, a coach, even a principal, Hometown is going to show you how to save time. They're going to show you how to raise more money, and they're going to show you how to bring your entire community together. You'll find it all at hometown.com. And finally, let's say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that truly lets you take the pulse of your student athletes, your coaches, even your parents. The information that will come back on these surveys, it's incredibly valuable, whether you're meeting with a coach, a kid, a parent, or your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Let them connect you with all of your stakeholders. That's athleticsurveys.com. And once again, make sure you tell our sponsors you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to one of my favorite states today. We're going to Iowa, and we're going to be visiting with Amber Taeger. She is a registered athletic administrator. She's the Director of Activities and Athletics for Danville Junior and Senior High School, Danville Community School District. She and I connected when I was the speaker at the Iowa State Conference, earlier this year, and thought she'd be a great guest. So here we are. Amber Taeger, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's summertime for our listeners. We're recording this on July 10th, so it's going to be very timely as you listen to it. You can't see this unless you're watching this on YouTube. She's on the back porch, woods setting, very relaxed, typical day for an athletic director. Amber, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us your quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up, maybe take us up through your own college days, and then we'll take a break. But what's the Amber Taeger origin story?
Yeah, I am a small town kid. I was actually born in Oklahoma on Fort Sill Army Base. My dad was in the Army, and then they moved back to Illinois, where I'm from shortly after that. Raised in Oquawka, Illinois, which is just across the Mississippi River from Iowa. So, my parents still live there. We go back and forth all the time to their house. Grew up, like I said, a small town kid in a small school. I played all the sports, that's kind of what you do when you grow up in the 90s. You're always outdoors and always active. I played volleyball, played basketball, played softball. I was one of the few sports that does softball in the summer. So for me, I played spring softball, and my summers were free. I still played softball all summer, in town ball and different leagues, and had kind of big dreams of going and playing sports in college, and worked hard, to do that. I had a big love for softball and baseball. My dad and I went to many, many St. Louis Cardinals games when I was young. My brother's about 6 years younger than me. And so I had a lot of time, just him and I. We would go down to St. Louis. We would stand in line for bleacher seats. And we did that every summer, several times a summer, throughout my whole life. So that really gave me a big love for sports from a young age. I went to play volleyball and softball at Lincoln College in Lincoln, Illinois. From there, I spent a semester playing volleyball in St. Louis at Harris Stowe, down there, which is an NAI school down there, and ended up just kind of wanting something different. So I transferred to Western Illinois University in Macomb, and I did just some, club sports there. We played a lot of club volleyball and intramural volleyball there, where I met my husband. Got a Spanish degree, always knew that I was never going to be a Spanish teacher, right? I was going to go be an interpreter or a translator somewhere, and met my husband, and he was from Iowa. Actually, our dads had worked together, so small world. And then we ended up getting married right after college. Moved to Des Moines area for his job. And then I was working in banking. I was a loan processor and wasn't able to use my Spanish, and, spent a year doing that and realized, man, I can't coach. I wanted to coach sports. So decided to get my master's of teaching, and I don't know, the rest is kind of history. I did that, and I have been teaching Spanish and coaching ever since.
Yeah, we're going to jump into your career in the next segment. I'm going to go all the way back, growing up, small town, even before organized sports. You mentioned you had a younger brother, but was it just softball in the summer? Were there driveway basketball games? What are some of your early memories of that sport experience?
Oh yeah, we were always outside. I grew up in a neighborhood and had a lot of friends in my neighborhood, and it was always kickball in someone's yard or, wiffle ball in someone's yard. We had a basketball hoop in our driveway, and my friends and I thought we were going to be in the WNBA, Rebecca Lobo and Cheryl Swoops and all those early individuals. I didn't realize I wasn't really that good at basketball then. I was always tall. I was always, the tall kid, taller than everybody else, and so everybody I was the one that you looked at and it's like, oh, she's going to play volleyball. She's going to play basketball. And I did all those things and I had a lot of success in a lot of those. I was all conference and, the sports that I played. But yeah, I mean, just like I said, always outdoors, always on bikes. I grew up with a lot of boys in my neighborhood and, they were some of my best friends and I was kind of always the tomboy. I knew a lot about sports, loved sports. We watched sports. My dad always had our radio playing in the yard. We'd be out in the summer doing work and the radio was on with the Cardinals games on. I mean, that's what I just grew up hearing. And that's like a very nostalgic sound for me. It's just the radio with the Cardinals games on, it's lightning bugs out and we're out in the yard. My dad coached me ever since I was young, in softball, my whole life, kind of growing up until eighth grade. And I did that during the summer. I always was finding a reason to play with somebody, whether it was one league or the other. My parents didn't have a ton of money, so I didn't do travel sports. I was the only actually volleyball player on my college volleyball team who had never played club volleyball. And I just was like, wait, what? You guys did this growing up? I played high school. Lots of opportunities though, growing up in the high school I was in because we had summer league basketball and we had summer league volleyball and they were always through the YMCA, so our high school team, we would go play once a week basketball, we'd go play volleyball once a week. So not as much as it is now. I mean, kids are always playing everything now all the time, but I did spend my summers doing that. I was also a lifeguard, so I swam a lot in the summer. And my volleyball coach actually was my boss at the pool. And so she would give us swimming workouts, on our breaks. It'd be like, nope, it's not a break. Here's your laps that you're going to swim. So just basically anything that had to do with sports, I did it as much as I could.
Now, you mentioned something. Again, I just love hearing the stories. We could do this all day, but you
Uh-huh.
mentioned something, and I brought this up in a recent interview. I grew up in Oregon, and I'm sure that this thing that I'm going to talk about exists in Oregon, but it was not part of my childhood. We did everything you just mentioned. We did it all, but wiffle ball was not part of my growing up experience. And hear these stories and I see videos on YouTube and I'm wondering, how did we miss out on this? What's a wiffle ball story that you can share with our listeners?
Well, you had to play wiffle ball because if you didn't, you were hitting baseballs and softballs into people's houses and windows. And so, it became like once we got a little older and it was like, oh, we can't afford to knock people's windows out. So how do we, make this a little different? And we played like almost wiffle ball like dodgeball, which kind of is what my kids do in my yard now. And you just throw the ball at people. If you don't have enough to play like first and second, you got to be quick enough not to just get hit with the ball. So we played like a modified wiffle ball dodgeball. And I always just remember like being the girl. And this is at like recess. I always want to play football at recess. Like I didn't want to be on the jungle gym. I wanted to play football. And I would get so angry because it's like pick me. Why aren't you picking the girl last? And then I was always determined to show everybody, all the boys, like I can throw better than you. I can do it better than you. And I probably got in trouble for tackling at recess when it was not supposed to be tackle. But just from a young age, I think my dad instilled in me like I can do anything, right? I can do anything I want. And he probably maybe should have had a boy first instead of a girl first, to ingrain all these things into. But it's part of my character and who I am. And yeah, but it's just, we didn't have big yards. We lived in a small town and you played wiffle ball, so you didn't break people's windows out. But we did play a lot of football too, yard football and like I said, yard dodgeball and all of those things.
Yeah. Now, again, all the unique, every yard, every neighborhood had their own wiffle ball rules. If it goes up on the
Uh-huh.
roof, it's this, and over behind that tree, it was that. And I'm right with you there in football. My oldest daughter was, tremendous athlete, volleyball, basketball, and then she did track. But I always look back and wonder. Um, I never made her, and she never asked me to. But I wondered, if I would have encouraged her, or not encouraged, because I always encouraged her. If I said, "Hey, you should come be a quarterback for my football team," because I think she would have been a tremendous,
Yeah.
tremendous quarterback. Let's go and take a
Yeah.
quick break. Our guest today is Amber Taeger. She's the Director of Athletics and Activities at the Danville Community School District, Danville Junior and Senior High. That's in Iowa. We're taking that break, but we are coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. You've heard me say many times, probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. We use it for home games, of course, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. Their products are tremendously versatile and their customer service just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, I'm telling you, all of our coaches just love the Huddle platform. Go to huddle.com, join the millions of users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. Your coaches will love it. Your student athletes will love the videos. Your parents will love the streaming. Go to huddle.com. And for all of our sponsors, make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast.
We are a Huddle school. We actually really enjoy using Huddle. It is very convenient for our athletic programs to be able to record the games. We have a Huddle camera in our gym. We have one on our athletic fields, outdoors, our football, soccer field. We're actually in the works of thinking about getting them for our baseball, softball fields as well, looking at options for that. It's just a really convenient way to be able to record your games, have the athletes go back and watch, have them get their own accounts. It's really easy to set up once you front load it. I really enjoy using it, getting the schedule in. It's really user friendly, and also the customer support is really good too. Anytime we have questions, they're always willing to help us. So yeah, we're a Huddle school. We really enjoy Huddle.
Well, thanks, Amber, for sharing that. I always love to hear when schools are using one of our sponsors. You mentioned, from the coaching perspective, obviously, the video and with kids using that. Have you done any streaming yet of games?
Yeah, we do stream games. It's a really nice feature for people who maybe aren't in the area or can't get out to watch the games. We do utilize that, and it is very popular. It's also nice too when schools in our conference, and I think just about every school in our conference is a Huddle school. That way, when there's away games, families can watch those games as well. It's really nice for me to be able to get on and watch a former team. I used to teach at Mediapolis, and I have a great love for the students there. So I really enjoy being able to jump on and watch, their games if I'm not able to be there, or see some of my former students playing. So it really is very, very handy, very useful.
Well, again, thanks so much for sharing that. For our listeners, our guest today is Amber Taeger. She's the Director of Athletics and Activities for Danville Junior Senior High School in Iowa. Amber, you shared a little bit about your journey post college. Let's take a deeper dive into that. You mentioned when you were kids, you all thought you were going to be in the WNBA. As you were in college, was reality setting in, or were there still some dreams, maybe even playing minor league softball or something?
Um, I think probably reality set in when I got to college. I was recruited to a smaller school, and I think at that point I realized that was probably not going to happen for me, and that's okay. But my mindset was, how do I continue to keep athletics a part of my life? And my original plan was to go into athletic training. That was, thinking, okay, I can continue to be around sports. I can continue to play sports in college. So that's kind of the direction early on in college that I had decided I wanted to go. And then when I got to Western, I spent a semester in the athletic training program and just saw a few injuries. My husband actually had a dislocated finger, and I was like, yeah, I don't think that is for me. That was not the avenue I wanted to go. And in addition to that, I dreamed of coaching. I had a couple of really great coaches. I wanted to coach. And athletic training and being a coach don't really go hand in hand, unfortunately. So that's kind of when I had to change gears and rethink my future plan. I had a love for Spanish. I had a great Spanish teacher in high school, and I loved to travel. I studied abroad in college, and so I knew that that was something that I really wanted to continue to pursue in my future.
Yeah, the athletic training, I think a certain person is drawn to that. Well, just like people are drawn to coaching too. Um, as you were building your coaching resume, was the athletic director position even an awareness or a thought? I mean, for me, it was not until the principal said, "Hey, you know, the athletic director, his name is Randy. Randy just left, take another job. You're the athletic director now."
Yeah.
Was that a thing for you?
Thinking back to my high school experience, I don't remember having a designated athletic director. I guess we probably did, but I think it was maybe one of the coaches who kind of served in that role along with the admin. So it wasn't really on my radar then. And even in college, it wasn't completely on my radar. I thought of those people, as administrators where you had to have an advanced degree. And I just wasn't sure that that was something I wanted to do. Even in college, I didn't want to be a teacher. That was something I was very adamant about. I don't want to teach. I want to, travel and maybe do like international business. So it really wasn't on my radar until after getting my bachelor's degree and then working, for a year, not in the academic education world, that I realized I wanted to get back to that. And then got my master's of teaching. And at that point, it was like, oh my gosh, I don't want any more schooling. I don't want to do any other degrees. But my dream job at that point would have been to be an athletic director. But again, my mindset was like, oh gosh, I have to have another master's degree or I have to have an advanced degree to do that. So I kind of just pushed those things aside and, settled in like, okay, I'm going to teach, I'm going to coach. That's going to be my future. And I did that. I've been teaching now for 15 years, and I've only been an activities director for 2. So the reality didn't set in that I could actually potentially do that until about 3 years ago.
Let's go and take a break. Let's go back to coaching. Favorite expression talking about young coaches, even young ADs. You don't know what you don't know.
Oh my goodness.
You
Yeah.
came out of a player's background. You were an athlete, but what did you find out as a coach were some things that you didn't know about coaching?
Um, you don't know where the kids are coming from. You got to meet them where they're at, right? Not every athlete has the experience that I had growing up. Not every athlete comes from the home, similar to what I came from growing up. And they crave structure and discipline. And, that's something I did coach very young. I was actually an assistant volleyball coach for a high school team when I was in college. And so that was a good learning experience for me. Right out of getting my master's, I coached at Dubuque Senior High School under Brett Myers. He's actually the commissioner for the Iowa region volleyball right now. And so he was very disciplined. He was very structured. And working under him for a year was tremendous because he had very high expectations for the athletes, but he also did a really great job of building relationships with them. And I got to see firsthand that you can build relationships with kids, but also have high expectations at the same time. I think a lot of times we think we want to be kind to them. We want to, have a good relationship. So we don't want to be tough on them. So that was something that I learned early on that it's okay to be young and be tough on your players. It's okay to have those expectations. And at the end of the day, they crave that. They really, really do.
No, you're absolutely right. 100 years ago when I was in high school and college, coaches didn't worry about, relationships. It was just, hey, this is how we're going to do it. And it wasn't like they were, abusive or everything. It's just that's the way
No,
it was.
exactly.
Yeah, but kids are different. It's not better. It's not worse. It's just different.
Right.
So um,
I was a kid who could be coached really hard.
yeah. So was
And
I.
I appreciated that. And so for me, to coach hard, it's like, well, why can't I just coach you hard? I could, one of my favorite coaches yelled at me, and was like very strict on me. And so it was a very big learning experience for me to realize that I couldn't coach every kid the way I enjoyed being coached.
Yeah. And you bring up such a great point, and that was a lesson I had to learn as a football coach. I had a, talking about quarterbacks, I had this kid, he was a freshman for us, didn't play a lot, but then he started the next 3 years at quarterback. Great kid, went on to play college football. But my personality was, all right, we're going to do this, and I want you to do
Yep.
that, very loud. And he just thrived on that. He loved it. He was very much like me as an athlete. When he graduated, the kid that took his place was a far better athlete. The kid played Division I, but in 7-on-7, the first time I go, Dan, I need you. He just wilted.
Uh-huh. Yep.
It took me most of the summer to figure out, all right, Dan, this is what I need you to do. And I could just feel the veins popping out on my forehead, and I had to keep myself under control. But that's what
Yep.
he needed. And again, he
Right.
thrived in that situation. So it was a great lesson for me, great lesson for all of us.
Yep. I had a volleyball player cry a few times, and then I had to be like, "Oh, this isn't going to work. Like, we got to do something else." And that, I mean, she was very resilient, and she taught me a lot. And so I think back to her often, how I had to coach her differently. And she ended up being a phenomenal player and somebody as an adult that I still keep in contact with.
Yeah. And again, you multiply that by, the number of kids on your team, and a
Right.
good coach, they're going to figure that out. So very cool.
Exactly.
Uh, let's go and take another break. We're visiting today with Amber Taeger. She's the Director of Activities and Athletics for the Danville Community Public School System in Iowa. When we come back, we're going to take a deep dive into all things Danville. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thank you to Home Campus for their support of the podcast. If you do things like work with schedules or rosters, if you want to communicate with your kids, your coaches, your state association, do you manage facilities on your campus? Well, Home Campus does all of that and more, and does it better and does it faster than the other platforms. Did I mention athletic eligibility and clearance? That one alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com and find out all the ways that they can help you run your athletic department better. That's homecampus.com. We'd also like to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Now, Wall of Fame has been helping schools bring their legacy to life for over a decade with their video boards and technology, but their new content creation service, really got to see it to believe it. Their talented team of writers and designers will take your school's history, your coaches, your kids, your program, and come up with compelling narratives that you can then post on your social media channel, maybe even on a Wall of Fame video board. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com and click on Content Services. You're going to be very glad you did. vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thank you to Gipper. Gipper is the modern marketing platform. It's actually the #1 rated marketing platform for high schools and colleges that allows you to promote your program and all the great things that your kids and coaches are doing. Gipper's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college programs. Did I mention it was rated #1 for marketing? One reason are the thousands of professionally designed templates that you can then customize with your colors, your logos, your brand to create, share, and schedule all your social media content on one simple platform. And that platform is Gipper. Go to Gipper.com to get started, and make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast.
Yep.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Once again, our guest is Amber Taeger. She's a registered athletic administrator, and she's the Director of Activities and Athletics for the Danville Junior Senior High. Amber, share a little bit. How'd you end up at at Danville and talk about the community, talk about the school and the programs, and maybe share some things that you are particularly proud of about the Danville Bears.
Yeah, so I spent a year teaching in Dubuque. A job at Burlington opened up, which is where my husband and I are from. So, teaching job, took that job. I was there for 10 years. Left that job just to, ready for a change. Took a teaching job in Mediapolis, just north of Burlington, another small school. I was there for 2 years, and then the athletic director, activities director job opened up at Danville, and they also had a Spanish teaching job open at the same time. So it just really seemed like fate, I guess. When we're in small schools, a lot of us don't have full-time activities directors. You have to share that job with either an administrative position or a teaching position. And when I tell this to, larger school activities directors, they're just shocked that like, what, you do both things? But, for us down here, it's just kind of the norm. So I guess shot for the moon and I applied for the activities director job at Danville. I really worked hard in a couple of weeks to obtain my RAA. That way I was able to kind of stand out amongst hopefully some of my opponents who are, working to get the job. And obviously it all worked out. My kids are in the Danville district. My husband went to Danville. We live in the Danville district. So I had a vested interest in going to Danville to, improve the activities programs, to bring what I think is a lot of energy and a lot of hard work to the programs here. So that's kind of what drew me to Danville. We have a really great superintendent. He's only been here for maybe 4 years. I saw a lot of what he was doing, and that was somebody that I really wanted to go and work for as well. So that was a big draw for me also, to come to Danville. I love Danville because I grew up in a small school. It's got a very supportive community. We are a very small town. We don't have a lot of businesses. We don't have a lot of tax revenue coming from the businesses, that some of the towns around us do. So we have to work extra hard to maintain our facilities, to improve our facilities. And I think that's just goes to show what a great community that we have, because we are supported, and our community and our families, they rally around us, at every opportunity that they can.
Well, I appreciate you talking about that aspect about being at the small school, but maybe not having the industry and the commercial development that might be available in other departments. Let's go down that road. What are some things that you've done? And I know you've only been there, this is going on your second year, but what are some things that you've done or you plan on doing in that whole area of partnerships, sponsorships, fundraising that other athletic directors might be interested in?
So coming into Danville, I wanted to take a hard look at kind of how some of the structures were being run. First off, instead of going and asking for money, how do we save money, right? How do we retain more money in our accounts? And a couple of ways to do that was to hopefully stop paying so many workers, right? So I implemented a program where our staff members could earn free activity passes by working events. And so if they work so many events, they could earn an activity pass for themselves. If they worked a number more, they could earn activity passes for their families. And so that was a way to keep more money in our accounts by, like I said, not paying ticket takers and clock workers. And so that was one thing. Another thing was helping out our booster club who runs our concession stand with also not having to pay workers or, beg and plead for people to come and work concessions, because that's a huge issue with a lot of school districts, right? Getting volunteers. So I implemented a program where every season, every sports program is assigned a concession date, and they are required to fulfill their duties with that concession date, either with coaches or players or parents. I required all programs to have a parent rep for their program, for their team. So for example, our football team, they have a parent rep. She's a rock star. She's amazing. And she's the one who lines up all of the concessions workers for the football team when they have that football concession date. Our booster club is incredible, and they support us so much. We couldn't do anything that we do without them. And so that was kind of my way to work with them and create a partnership and give back to them, because we also can't get booster club members because in people's minds, it's like, well, I don't want to go work concessions all the time. I'm not going to be on the booster club. And so that was a way to, again, keep people involved and then show support for our other athletic programs, right? So we have the soccer team working a softball game, and we have the softball team working a basketball game. And so that has been really good and I think really helpful to support our booster club. So that was, in my mind, the first step, right? How do we retain more money in our accounts? How do we spend um, a little better and, not spend money in ways that we maybe don't have to, right? So instead of going out and purchasing signs every time there's a record broken, having our graphics teacher create the signs, having one of our business classes print the signs, that we hang up on the walls. We don't do that electronically fully yet. That may be an avenue that we go, but every time we had like a relay record broken or like a points in a season record broken, we're purchasing these new posters.
Right.
And so that was one way also, just little things here and there. How can we continue to do as much as we can in-house without paying someone else to do what our staff and our students can be doing? So really that was, I guess, maybe my first step.
Well, I love those ideas, and it's just makes me think of don't work harder, work smarter, but
Exactly. Yeah. Mantra.
um, not let's not spend money, let's save money, but also having the teams work the different events, you're automatically what am I trying to say? You're bringing the athletic department together even
Right.
stronger.
Unifying
You
that.
know,
Yep.
they're attending the games, they're supporting their friends, because that's a complaint. We always hear as ADs, well, the kids don't come to the games like they used to. Well, it's because they're
Right.
playing on another team right now. Those kids that were fans when you were playing, now they're playing for their own teams. Those are great ideas. Amber, let's go and do this right now. We're going to do it at the end of the show, but if one of our listeners wants to reach out, pick your brain a little bit more, and listeners, sounds like you got a tremendous resource here. What's the best way that our listeners can connect with Amber Taeger?
I am on Facebook. Amber Taeger. If you search Amber Taeger Danville AD, I have a my own AD Facebook page. Also, email is really the best way, and it's just amber.taeger@danvillecsd.org. My last name is spelled Taeger. That's really the best way to connect with me. My email is like my to-do list, as many people probably feel the same way. So, yeah, I love to connect with people. That's one of my favorite things I think about being an activities director is making connections. I love attending, the state conference. I was able to attend the national conference last year, which was just a life-changing experience, meeting all the people that I was able to meet and connect with. And so it really is my favorite thing to be able to connect with people, to bounce ideas, to share struggles, to share celebrations. So yeah, I would love to be contacted.
Yeah, make sure you reach out to Amber, and again, looking forward to connecting with you in Phoenix in December in
I
person.
hope so. I hope
Yeah.
so. I'm working on it.
Let's go and take another break. I know that's shocking to our regular listeners, but we are going to come back with more with our guest, Amber Taeger, the Director of Activities and Athletics at Danville Community Schools. That's in Danville, Iowa. We're taking a break, but we are coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thanks to Booster Hub, the #1 booster club software package. If you work with your booster club, you know that volunteer signups and volunteer changes are a big part of your day. Well, with Booster Hub, nothing falls through the cracks. Everybody stays connected and engaged. The same is true with sponsorship fees, with concession sales. Booster Hub does it all. Give your boosters the platform they need. Give them the platform they deserve. And that platform is Booster Hub. Go to boosterhub.com for more information. We also want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director got his master's through the Ohio program, along with thousands of others. And while they were earning their degree, they also completed 11 and IAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. If you're looking for a top rated online master's that the graduates rave about the experience, you need to check out Ohio University and their online master's in athletic administration. Speaking of number one, let's say thanks to Hometown. Hometown is still the number one digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. In addition, they have fee-free fundraising through School Funder. They have athletic website construction. The list of Hometown services just goes on and on. Whether you're an athletic director, head coach, even a principal, Hometown is going to show you how to save time. They're going to show you how to raise more money, and they're going to show you how to bring your entire community together. You'll find it all at hometown.com. And guess what? Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. For our listeners, Amber was sharing another feature of how she works with sponsors and boosters during the break. Amber, could you share that with our listeners?
Yeah, one of the things we realized were there were a lot of untapped resources in our community. We really needed an new outdoor scoreboard for our football soccer field. And so our superintendent decided, he was going to go out and ask some businesses for donations. And in particular, one of the businesses that he asked, it was a local farmer. And I remember him saying, thank you for asking. Thank you for asking me to donate. And that was just a big wake up call because, we see the businesses along Main Street and, they have their business sign, but we often forget about some of these smaller businesses or these family owned businesses that are untapped resources and they want to donate. They want to be involved. So that kind of morphed into an idea for me as far as who are we not asking, to partner? And I don't even want to say asking for money. Who are we not talking to partner with our school to become a part of what we're doing, what we're trying to create, what we're trying to evolve into? And so I'm creating a sponsorship package that I'm going to start working my way through in the next few weeks. I was kind of waiting for baseball, softball to get over with. I'm going to go visit a lot of our local businesses or our family-owned businesses, maybe that aren't in our community, they're in a neighboring community, but they are parents of our students who own these businesses because I think a lot of them want to partner with us. They want to be involved. They want to know that they're making an impact on the things that we're doing. They just aren't being asked. We just haven't really thought to go to them. So I've been working hard in the last few months to kind of create what I think is a really great sponsorship, a partnership package. And part of their partnership package, they're going to get advertising opportunities on Bound, which we utilize. They're going to get some, hopefully, Huddle advertising opportunities. We also use the Neptune radio program, which is clean radio. We started using that in the last year and a half, and that has been tremendous. I love that program, but they also have an advertising option. So part of the sponsorship packages are going to go with that. We're going to have options for, naming hurdles, naming races at our home track meets, selling having experiences included in these, like a football viewing experience. And so a lot of really creative things I'm trying to put into these partnership packages to get more sponsors. And then another thing, when I came in, I asked the question, are our students purchasing athletic passes? Like, do they have to pay to get into these events? And it was like, well, yes, they do. We have a pretty high percentage of low income, free and reduced lunch students in our district. And I'm looking at this like, well, these kids can't come to these games. And, you mentioned earlier, kids don't come to games the way they used to. And that is accurate. And so the 2 years that I've been here, going on 3, my goal has been to find a way to create revenue in other areas. So we are not making money off of our students. We want our students to have free activity passes for all students K through 12. So that's something that I've been advocating for and really working hard on. The administration is supportive of that. And I think, fingers crossed, that is going to be something we are going to be able to implement for this coming year, that every K through 12 student is going to get a free activity pass to attend all athletic events for the duration of the school year. And you're involving more kids, you're involving more people in the community by doing that. And that's going to just create more partnerships. So I'm really trying to circle around and just get that community involvement up, that school spirit up. And I really think that's going to create a lot more opportunities and, revenue to make the improvements in our district that we really need to make.
Boy, I love all of those ideas, and it's just another reason for listeners to reach out and connect with Amber Taeger. The last thing that you mentioned, charging your own students, there's arguments on both sides, but I think the
There is, yeah,
decision point has to be, it always was for us at the schools I was at, hey, we want our kids at the game.
absolutely.
Let's charge their parents, okay, reluctantly. But again, we would have season tickets and yearly passes. We had ways to try to incentivize them to support us, come to the games. And again, if they buy that season pass but they don't make it to that game, you're still making money, or the yearly pass. That's what we did. We
Exactly.
maxed out
Yeah.
because we had, just like you, we had kids that were doing 2 and 3 sports, and so try to give their parents a break. Great stuff. Yeah, I love it all. Uh, Amber, this has been great spending some time with you, reconnecting, but we're not done yet. We always wrap things up with the athletic director's toolbox segment. Now, you've certainly shown you know your way around the world of athletics, but we're going to take our final break, hear from Athletic Surveys, who sponsored this segment. And when we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director on their first job. But I'm only going to let you put 3 items in the toolbox. So let's take
Okay.
that break. And when we come back, we're going to see what Amber Taeger puts in her new athletic director toolbox. We want to say thank you to Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. In my schools, we use surveys for just about everything, for our student athletes, for our coaches, even our parents. And here's the cool thing. The information that would come back on these surveys, almost always over the top positive. We still got to hear from our squeaky wheel parents, but the surveys allowed us to hear their concerns, usually address them before they turned into something big. But going back to that positive data, incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, sometimes your principal, sometimes even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. And guess what? Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Educational AD Podcast. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with Amber Taeger. She is a registered athletic administrator, and she's the director of athletics for the Danville Community School District. That's in Danville, Iowa. Tremendous background as an athlete, as a coach, as a leader. But right now, I'm going to challenge her to send out a brand new athletic director on their first job, but I'm only going to let her put 3 tools in the toolbox. So, Amber, what 3 tools are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
Oh man. So I think the first one is making connections and building relationships. As a new AD, you cannot be afraid to go out and connect with people and ask questions. Um, you can't be intimidated. No imposter syndrome, because I think that that's a very common thing is that we have imposter syndrome. And I know I do. Like, why am I here? Should I be here? Should I, be doing this job? But I let that go pretty quick and I found a mentor. I'm lucky enough that Iowa has a mentor program for new ADs, and I was able to be a part of that. My superintendent also challenged me to find my own local mentor, which I did. I worked with Jeff Housel at West Burlington, and him and I have become great friends. Our daughters are friends. So making connections, finding someone who you can talk to, who you can bounce ideas off of, and not feeling like it's a silly question. Just knowing that it is okay to seek help and you're not on an island. Build relationships with those around you, those in your um, conference, those in your community, those in your state. So that would really be my first one. Um, my second one is finding a program or several programs that you can make work for you to make your life easier. It doesn't matter what those programs are. It doesn't matter whether you use Huddle or Bound or athletic surveys, whatever program you decide to use, make it work for you and feel confident in yourself to ask for money to spend on those things that are going to make your life easier. At Danville, we use Bound. We used it very baseline when I first started. I built great relationships with people at Bound, and they kind of taught me how Bound could work for me. And I did my research, and I worked really hard to learn the program. And I realized, oh my gosh, I'm doing all of these things and it's taking me so long that this program can do for me. So I felt very confident in going to my administration and saying, I know this is a lot of money, but this is going to help improve my quality of work. And it's going to help limit the amount of time I'm having to spend on these tasks so I can do other things. So that would be my second piece of advice is find the programs that can work for you. So you are able to do some of those higher level things. You're able to go out and ask for sponsorships. Um, and and partnerships and all those things. And then I would say my third one, I guess I don't have any real actual tools. They're just like theoretical things, but my third one is to be a servant leader to your coaches and to your teachers. And I say to teachers because I am an activities director and I don't just prioritize athletics. I prioritize our theater program and our music program and be a servant leader to them, ask them what they need, build those relationships with them to a point where they know if they need help, they can come to you. You're either going to help them or you're going to find a resource to help them. And once people know that they are supported, once people know that they have, your confidence in them, they're going to work so much harder. They're going to make connections with this working with. And it's just a beautiful thing to build those relationships and be able to see firsthand how your programs are running. And that can be, being a servant leader, that can be your coaches knowing that if they have to deal with a difficult parent, that I have their back, that I'm there with them, that they're not dealing with that parent or that situation on their own. And that has come to me from personal experience. I have had as a coach, as we all have had some difficult parents and situations that we've dealt with. And I had activity directors that sat me down and, maybe before this meeting and said, I have your back. I support you. We're going to go in this together. And then even with things like, our theater program, if we have a musical, like, hey, do you need me to take money at the gate? I'm coming to watch the show anyways. What do you need me to do? I offer, my own kids as support. Do you need my kids as help? Anything you can do to make sure that your coaches and your staff know they have your support is essential. So be a servant leader. And I think that I learned that in my mentoring program. I connected with so many great individuals across the state. Some of my favorite people are retired ADs that are now working for different companies. And, I laugh and say, like, some of my best friends are, retired men who were ADs, and I text them and like we email. And I actually got a mentor for my softball coach to support her. And it's Brian Irby, and he was the former Cedar Rapids Jefferson softball coach for many years. He's a Hall of Fame coach, and him and I are like, best buds now, and we text. And he's never been an AD, but he's a resource for me, and he supports my coach. And so, yeah, serve your coaches. How can you serve them? And it is exhausting, and it takes a lot of hours, and we don't get paid for the hours that we're behind the scenes answering those texts and emails when our coaches need it most. But them knowing they have our support and our confidence in them just creates a dynamic that is so beautiful, so amazing, and so powerful for our students.
Wow, great tools. I love them all. Anytime somebody talks about, finding that mentor and building your network, which you reemphasize not just for you, but for your coaches, just tremendous. The relationship part, being a servant leader, absolutely great stuff. And, the organizational component, finding those programs that work for you, and whether it's Bound or another platform, you've got a lot of resources out there. Make sure you're utilizing them. Amber,
Right,
thank you so
yes.
much for taking some time out of your busy summer to share with our listeners. All the best. We're definitely going to have to bring you back for a follow-up. You are definitely what I would call a friend of the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love all the tools that you provide. I give you a little plug here. I have my small school athletic director book that I keep with me often. And if I just need a little pick me up, I read a story or, I kind of jump around in it a little bit. And it's a tremendous resource. I really enjoy having that because us small school ADs, we are kind of sometimes on an island on our own. We have a very different dynamic that in different situations that we have to deal with when we're not full-time athletic directors or whatever the case may be.
Well, again, appreciate that shout out for small school AD. We're gonna have to do a second edition of that, and you could be a
I think
contributor.
so,
How's that?
yeah.
Okay.
That'd be awesome. I would love to. I'd be honored.
For our listeners, we want to say thanks to you for tuning in, and just a reminder that we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories along with some best practices from the world of athletics. So please come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. See you next time.